Hello and welcome everyone to today's episode of USO's MVP series. That's Military Virtual Programming. I am so excited to be here today. Yes, I am your host, Kelly Miyahara. Thank you so much for joining us from wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for your service. We hope that you are happy, safe, doing well, and of course, really excited about today's very special guest. Now, if you have been paying attention, today's guest, you guys, is one of the most versatile and talented actors in Hollywood today. Now, he has been referred to as TV's most important chameleon, of course, by Entertainment Weekly. His resume definitely reflects that. You may recognize him from many of his roles, but local politician from Parenthood, Bob Little, maybe the psychotic murderer from Hannibal, Matthew Brown, or perhaps the super jacked fighter, Jay Kulina from DirecTV's drama series Kingdom. Now, I just want to also add, by the way, that Kingdom has become one of the top streaming series on Netflix today. So big kudos there. But now, guess what? We are all very excited because this person is starring in NBC's brand new sci-fi series, Debris, which debuted on March 1st. Now, with over 20 years of experience as a SAG actor, in film and television, this person can tell you all about it himself. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce you all to Mr. Jonathan Tucker. Hi, Jonathan.
Thanks for having me, Kelly. Thanks for the generous introduction. I really appreciate it. This is truly, out of all the press that I have gotten to do leading up to this big, network primetime show, this is by far and away the best one, and it's a privilege to be here. So thank you for having me.
Jonathan, we are so excited that you're here. So thank you so much for taking the time. And we love hearing how thrilled you are to be here with us as well. Just to start things off, Jonathan, will you tell us why it's important to you exactly to participate today with the USO?
Sure. Well, just today I was on a text thread with some buddies back in Boston, and we were joking around, and they're Italian. My father's Irish Catholic. My mother is Jewish. And I'm married to a woman of Indian background. She's born in the States, but her father is from Nairobi, Kenya, and had a Muslim tradition. And her mother's from Delhi, India, and has a Hindu tradition. And so we're giving each other some good anti-woke ribbing about each other's ethnic backgrounds. And somebody said, "Well, what boxes are your kids going to check when they apply for schools?" And I said, "They're going to check American." Because that is what is so dynamic about this country. And the more you travel, the more places you see, the more governments you witness outside of this country, the more you recognize how exceptional America is. And it is always aspirational. It is always changing, but it's always changing towards the good, towards an idea of what was really seated in my hometown there of the People's Republic of Boston, where men and women within a minute would throw on their muskets and run out to defend this country and to create this country. And I recognize that my freedoms here in America are because of the men and women who put on the uniform every day and make their sacrifice. And when I was growing up, I would sometimes have to miss certain things with school events or holidays or things like that. And my mother would always tell me, she would say, "Well, just think that there's people who are overseas, in uniform, who can't come home to see their babies be born, can't come home to hold the hands of their loved ones as they pass." And I think it's important, particularly during this divided time, that we really look outside of ourselves and see how lucky we are to have these people who make a decision to serve and protect our country. And there's not a day that I awake here in my bed, whether I'm in America or for instance here in Canada, where I don't say thank you to all of you guys. So that's why this is a more important opportunity for me in a publicity standpoint than any of the stuff I've been doing up until now.
Thank you for sharing that, Jonathan. I'm sure the service members watching truly appreciate your words there. Now we have some folks standing by at USO San Diego that want to ask you some questions, but first I want to just remind everyone who is watching to please go ahead and use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you have a question for Jonathan, go ahead and type in who you are, where you're from, and your question. We're going to get to as many as we possibly can. Now, also, we have a special treat for you at the end of the session, so stay tuned. Jonathan is going to provide you with something extra special at the end as well. But I think we are going to start off. I have to ask you, Jonathan. Now, I watched Debris, and I have to tell you, I am not just saying this. I was hooked within the first, 2 minutes. It is fascinating, and it's a little bit frightening, I've got to say, just because it is, what do you say? Almost so real. We don't really know what's out there. What was it that really hooked you in the beginning when you saw the script for Debris, when you saw the role of Brian Beneventi? What was it that intrigued you the most about taking on this role?
Well, I mean, look, I love sci-fi. I think it's a ton of fun. And the idea that we can start to play with a very realistic scenario of debris falling through the hemisphere and landing, and our responsibility as a government to try to figure out where it came from, what it's doing, how to kind of reclaim it and clean up a bit of the mess. That seems like somewhat plausible. So it's very grounded, but it's got this fantastic sort of idea. And I was, it wasn't surprising last night to see, or the night before, to see these videos from Seattle of some of this debris that was falling. And we've had some eyewitness accounts, from folks in the Air Force, and those videos that came out, front page there, the New York Times. Who would have thought that we'd be talking about UFOs? I always thought Harry Reid was like a total kook with his UFO stuff there in Nevada. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but we've been spending hundreds of millions of dollars like trying to investigate this. So it's fantastic, but it's also grounded in some things that we know are true today.
For sure. Well, Jonathan, we have some folks eagerly awaiting to speak to you. So our friends over at USO San Diego, could you please join us? We will hop over to them. And once they come on, if you could please introduce yourselves. We'd love to know your names, where you're originally from, and then of course, ask your questions to Jonathan. He's ready for you. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for your service. We see you.
My name is Ida Bale, Field Programs Manager at USO San Diego. I'm here with Belle Encinas, Field Program Specialist, and Dave Deere, USO Volunteer. We are hosting this live event at MCAS Miramar inside the Great Escape, supporting SMP.
Thank you so much.
Nice to see you.
Do you have a question for Jonathan? If so, you can go ahead and ask it.
Perfect. We'll have our first active duty service member ask it.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Lance Capel Estes. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. If you could work with any actor or actress, who would you want to work with?
Oh, great question. Also, my wife and I honeymooned outside of Nashville in the Smoky Mountains. We're like, we could, all these people going all over the world. I'm like, there's pretty exceptional places here in America. We had the best time there in the sweet grass in Nashville. Christian Bale is somebody I've always admired. And, I work really hard at trying to find different physical work and characteristics in the characters that I'm kind of compiling. We all eat differently. Literally, we hold utensils differently. We walk differently. We hold the wheel of a car steering wheel differently. And it's important when you're creating different characters to find that physical difference as well. And I think Christian Bale's done a remarkable job of doing that over and over and over again. It's not easy to play yourself. Really, it's shockingly hard to play yourself. If everybody could play themselves very well, you'd see a lot more producers, kids having longer careers. But when you can try to expand the strike box, so to speak, and work further away from what is natural to you, that's when the work gets really scary, but also really exciting. And he's definitely an actor that I've seen do that over and over and over again.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you for your question. Do we have another question? Come on up and introduce yourself, please.
Oh,
Right, too close. Hi, my name is Lance Corporal Jason Park. I'm originally from Fairfax, Virginia. I was curious if what you believe, if you believe in like life on other worlds.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. Yeah, I think the answer is yes. It wouldn't surprise me. I guess I'm so concerned with something like what I'm doing here on Earth. Like, I guess I'm more scared of like making sure my taxes are right and and that I don't like forget the diaper bag when my wife tells me before we leave the house that I'm not concerned whatsoever about intelligent life form out there. But I think it's exciting, to think about what we're doing as a country in terms of space exploration, because it does create, it does spark the imagination of the world, and it really does it continues to put us on the forefront in terms of leadership and exceptionalism. And I feel like we had this period when I was a bit younger where we weren't funding space exploration the way that we are now, particularly having these public-private partnerships. And, I don't know, I want America to be the first on Mars the way that we have been. I want, our country to go back to the moon again. I want us to be sending the world. I want every newspaper and publication around the world to be putting up photos on the front pages or leading their newscast with photos that our technology has created. And we've got a lot of funding issues all over the place, but space exploration has proven to be a valuable one. And it's also exciting to think about what the armed services are going to be doing in that arena as well, because it's definitely the next frontier.
Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Are these all Marine? Are we getting all Marines there in down there in Pendleton? Is everybody there Marine?
Yes.
Fantastic. Miramar, got it. Yeah. The first show I did was where I played a serviceman was a Marine. And so I was surrounded by a bunch of drill instructors from Paris Island, the old 1980s guys. And these guys, like, they were the one thing that I took away a lot of things, but the most important one was, the Marines are the best. And it's kind of stuck with, they drilled that so hard into me that now anytime I meet any other member of any other branch, I'm always like, well, if they're not Marines. And of course I'm being recorded. I memorized highly motivated, truly dedicated, romping, stomping, whiskey-fed, passion-bred, battle-blood United States Marine Corps recruits who thrive on war and pray to kill, sir. And I was like, that's my jam, man. I'm into that. That works for me. Yeah.
Do we have one more question there?
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Gurn Sergeant Phoenix. I'm originally from Wilmington, Delaware. My question is, if you were to have joined the United States Marine Corps, what job would you have chose to do when you enlisted?
Well, I put it into the show that we're shooting now, which is recon. I think the special forces of the Marines is where it's at. I thought it was very interesting, because the Marines are so proud, every Marine, a rifleman, that they didn't have a real like special service branch. So right after 9/11, which I'm sure you guys know, but I tell a lot of other people this, they don't appreciate the fact that people think of SEAL team, maybe they think of the Berets, maybe they think of the Rangers, but what's the special service branch of the Marine Corps called? Force Recon? Force Recon. Right?
Force Recon, yeah. These are
Right.
what you're referring to.
Right. So now they've got that. I'm like, well, that's what I want to do. That's what I'd be in the Marine Corps if I could. I think those guys are badass, and they get to have beards out there and kind of do whatever they want out there. Yeah, I think that's pretty great.
Well, thank you, Jonathan. And thank you, USO San Diego. Thank you so much for your service. It was a pleasure to see you all. We're going to jump on over, Jonathan. We've got folks over at USO.
Thank you for showing up, guys. I appreciate it, Miramar. It was very nice to you guys.
We've got more service members waiting for you at USO Quantico in Virginia. Hey guys, welcome. Thank you so much for your service. Will you please also tell Jonathan about your mission there? We'd love to hear about it, and then introduce yourselves and let us know what your question is.
Sure. Thanks, Kelly. Good afternoon, Jonathan. I'm Sergeant Major John Miller, currently stationed on Marine Corps Base Quantico. We have the awesome job here at the Basic School and Combat Instructor Battalion to train entry-level second lieutenants on leadership aspects and every aspect of the Marine Corps before they get slated for their jobs to go out to the Marine Corps. So it's a pretty cool aspect down here. It's a really good opportunity for us and the enlisted Marines behind me to train our officers that are going to be our future leaders once they get out to the fleet. Hey, so Jonathan, before we get into it, I have one question, but before I do it, I'd like to ask you to just drop an at some point in one of your next episodes, so that way you can represent the Marine Corps the right way.
It's already been done multiple times.
We're gonna go back and study every single one.
But I don't want to make sure I don't screw it up because I'll have to go back and loop it. But I've said oorah. Should I be saying
Shorten it.
oorah? I'm gonna go back and change it, and you'll never hear it differently. You'll never hear it again. Oorah.
Hey, Jonathan, what
Yes,
I'd like
sir.
to ask you is throughout your career and generally in life, everybody deals with adversity. And the thing that I would like to ask you is how do you deal with adversity and staying resilient as you progress through the issues that where the adversity is a blocking?
Yeah, in other leadership books that really helped me see that more clearly in the past few years is that Tim Grover book, Relentless, and about mental conditioning, which ties in with the book that really changed my career, called The Inner Game of Tennis. And it's a great book for you if you guys have read or haven't read it. It's something I couldn't more highly recommend for leadership and for performance on demand. The only way out is through. And the difference, I think I wrote like my elementary school application essay. I was lucky enough to go to a school outside my neighborhood, and I wrote it on perseverance, or on persistence. That Calvin Coolidge quotation. There's all these talented people. There's all these smart people. You're never gonna be the smartest. You're never gonna be the most talented. You're never gonna have the greatest idea per se. But you just got to keep going, and that's the difference. That's what yields success. I've been hit so many times in the face professionally. I have lost so many times. So I don't see it as a loss, but I have not gotten a job so many times. And I've been told so many things about how I look and how my work has been perceived, all these horrible negative things. And the difference between, I think, me and the people who let that affect them is I just keep going. I just keep getting up and keep going. I had a period of about 3.5 years where I tested for about 30 TV shows, which is like the last step on a very long ladder of steps to be on a show. And I didn't get any of them, and I was having serious financial issues, and it gets into your head and you start doubting yourself. And but I just knew like there was nobody who could hit me harder. I've lost 20 jobs, 25 jobs, 29 jobs, 30 jobs. There's at this juncture, you just can't hit me hard enough. And I like to think that some of that's from growing up in Boston. I have a real New England pride, but I've seen this in our country, and frankly, I think that's what sets our country apart. We just don't give up, and you can throw anything at us. That's the difference between democracy and free speech, and the freedoms that we have here that are not had in any other country. That's why, and it's going to be crazy. We've never had this many races ever live together in the same country before. It's, of course there's going to be friction. Of course we're going to have meaningful conversation, but we've never done this before, and we're the only ones doing it. And we're going to get through this, and we're going to be stronger and better because of it. And, the group that has led that from day one, particularly in that conversation, is the armed services. So I've dealt with it in ways in which I've seen from different parts of my life and from other people who've gone through it. And from examples in history in this country.
I appreciate it, Jonathan. I think that's a message that everybody needs to hear, no matter who you are.
I really appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you so much for your question. Do we have another question?
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Sergeant Gautier Mendoza, originally from Queens, New York. How you doing, Jonathan?
Good to see you, sir.
See you. My question is, you use the analogy of characters being vehicles, and the key to perfecting those characters was through vulnerability and empathy. How did you apply those keys for the character that you're playing in the show The Brief?
Well, I mean, we're all vulnerable people, and you have to allow these characters to breathe so that they can understand what's around them. I have spoken with a number of Marine Force Recon guys and a number of other guys from separate elite units who go on target overseas, and they all talk about being relaxed and breathing, and and how that allows them to be literally physiologically more aware of their surroundings. You don't get tunnel vision. You're not, when they come back home and they train SWAT units, they're telling those guys, hey guys, relax. Your hand, you don't need to be squeezing that weapon. You don't need all of your muscles tense. You need to really relax. You need to be empathetic to the environment. And that allows you to literally hear better, literally see better, smell better. And all the training that you've done, and I say this as an actor, as much as I say this as I share what they've said, which I'm sure you guys already know, all the work you've done finds itself organically on the day. You revert back to your training. So, but you just need to be aware of what's happening around you. And for me as an actor, if the sun is behind a cloud and then all of a sudden the cloud passes and the light shines into my eye, well, you got to react. You want to react to that. And you want to incorporate that.
Good afternoon, Corporal Browning from Houston, Texas. I had a question. Did you have to do any physical training to help get yourself in the mindset to portray the character you're trying to bring to the screen in the break?
Yeah, not on debris. I did, as I said, I did a boot camp, with a whole bunch of DIs from Paris Island for many years ago. I've actually done that twice. I will never do it again. They like Hollywood was like, we're gonna really get you involved, make you really feel like, yeah, I've done that now. I have done that. I get it. It's awful. I never want to do it again, ever. And then I did a boot camp for Kingdom with MMA. And that was awful. Now it's something I'm really passionate about, but I like to go train for like an hour or two in the afternoon, on mitts, and I'm a big Muay Thai guy, or a nice BJJ gym, but I don't need to do, the kill the Hollywood actor boot camps anymore. It's not a ton of fun, but I look, this is my this is like my maybe third or fourth time playing a Marine. And, it's made me particularly aware of how important that responsibility is. We hired two Marine Force Recon guys to make sure that, everything was right in the episode that we did. And I'm sure there's going to be a few things wrong, but boy, it is just critical to me to not embarrass the men and women who put on this uniform, and particularly the folks in the Marine Corps, because that's, got a special place in my heart there for them.
Well,
Hurrah! Hurrah! No more hurrahs. Now I'm embarrassed. Now I'm worried.
Jonathan, we were complimenting all the research that you do, and clearly you put in the work and it shows on screen. So thank you so much for all you do. Thank you so much, USO Quantico, for your service, for joining us today. We are going to hop on over to our next live look, but we'll see you guys soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Jonathan, we're going to jump over to USO Tumon Bay. They are in Guam. As soon as they hop on and join us, please share your mission with us. Let us know where you're from, and also introduce yourselves and ask Jonathan your questions. Welcome. Thank you for your service.
How's it going, guys? My name is Drew. I'm the field programs manager here at USO Tumon Bay. It was actually our birthday 2 days ago. We've been here for 15 years. And the good thing about us here at Tumon Bay is we're centrally located in the heart of Guam, literally in the middle of all the military bases. And here we have here with us today is the Marines of Marine Corps Base Camp Blaz. So,
Hurrah!
Hurrah! Hurrah! Make sure you don't say hoorah. Gotta make sure it's a real hurrah. I got zapped for that earlier, so now I'm feeling slightly embarrassed. Thank you guys for your service and for being in Guam. I am, I'm very, very grateful for you guys donning the uniform and keeping our country safe, and for doing all the good work that you guys are doing where you are.
All right. Do we have a first question? Please come up. Don't be shy. Introduce yourself and ask Jonathan your question. Let us know where you're from as well.
My name is Corporal Aguilar. I come from the beautiful state of Texas. And my first question for you is, you've been in an array of films and TV shows, from drama to horror to action. How do you select the projects you work on, and do you have a favorite genre?
Well, probably a lot like how you get your assignments. You can pick a few of them, but a lot of times you're getting directed towards the projects that you end up doing. And then, the longer you're in the service, the longer you're acting, the more freedom you kind of sometimes get. But earlier on, you're out there in the scrum, and you pick jobs and jobs pick you. I'm really interested in compelling characters. So it's usually genre agnostic. I'm not really interested in doing much more horror. It is so much work and so little reward. You're just killing yourself, not literally, for those films. And then people are like, "Oh, it's a horror movie." It's like, well, I'm working as hard for this horror movie as I am for like the hot shot, independent movie that is critically acclaimed, probably working significantly harder. But I'm interested in characters, and everybody's different. Everybody has a story to tell. People are a lot less boring than they think they are. I have spent time around members of the armed services, and boy, I mean, the diversity of people and characters on a base is unbelievable, and everybody has something to offer. So that's where I'm excited about. I'm excited and curious about different kinds of people and how to create an authentic character that can be on screen. That's oftentimes is far further away from myself than feels comfortable, because I find that really exciting. I find it a bit scary, and I like to live with a little bit of fear in my life. Find it motivating.
Fantastic. Yeah, sometimes you don't volunteer, you're voluntold. I like that. All right. Yeah, we noticed you were in Call of Duty World War II. This was the only video game you could. How was this different from starring in a TV show or in a movie role, and would you do it again?
Yeah, boy, I had such a good time doing Call of Duty. It was like a 3-year project, and we'd go in every 6 weeks to shoot it. It's all motion capture, and they choose one take because they've got cameras set up. They've got literally thousands of cameras on what's called the volume, which is basically like just a box, a large, like almost like a tennis court. And you can do anything during one of those takes. You'll rehearse the take, the scene, and then you'll shoot it, and you'll do it maybe, 8 to 10 times, and they only choose one. And anything you do within the take or the scene, they'll add. So if I just wanted to kind of grab, you're kind of miming it, right? Like they'll have some props, like maybe a table or chairs or something. But if I wanted to grab a pack of cigarettes or a pack of gum and put that into my mouth and just start chewing, like they'll just put the pack of gum in later. Well, what I thought was really dynamic about the experience as an actor was that, I'm always trying to be aware of what's happening in my environment. Whether, somebody walks by as in background and maybe bumps into me, maybe a car goes by, the wind blows somebody's hair, something happens that's not in the script that you then incorporate into the work. And this was the reverse of that. This was, how can I find things in the environment that might be happening that I can build into the scene? So for instance, if it's raining, can like a bit of water get into my eye and I can kind of rub it out? Could the sun be coming behind one of the tanks as it pulls out and kind of gives me a bit of shine? So I'm talking to you like this. Like that was really fun because I was reverse engineering the things that happened to me that I try to be aware of on the day in a scene, which is something that we're always trying to be aware of as actors. And so many actors fail to recognize because they are so either nervous and scared, right? Or and so they just want to latch on to what's in the script versus breathing, relaxing, opening yourself up to the world and seeing what's happening, and then incorporating that work into the scene. And I've spoken with a number of folks who wear the uniform and will go out on patrol or on a target, and they talk about the exact same thing, about breathing, about being relaxed, about being aware of their environment and incorporating all of that into the mission. Because when you don't do that, you get physiologically, you literally lose your senses. You don't hear as well, you don't smell as well, you lose your peripheral vision. And the world is too exciting and too beautiful to turn that off. And it's also more dangerous to turn it off. So I'd say those are some of the things I got out of shooting that show, and some of the things that are really important for me as an actor.
Fantastic, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the good question. I had a great time shooting. I hope you got to play it. Did you get to play it?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Because the team that did it busted their chops to get everything right for World War II. They took all the real vehicles, all the real tanks. The sound stuff was done with all of the real weapons. They wanted to get this right. They really wanted people to watch the game, because a lot of people don't realize that Saving Private Ryan had come out 25 years ago or something from when the game came out. So there was a whole new generation of people that were going to understand what it was like to storm the beaches of Normandy. I'm having some issue with this. I'm so sorry, guys. Hold on one second. Let me see what the problem is. But I'm thrilled you played the game, and we had such a great time shooting it.
All right, Jonathan, we have one last question for you from USA to Mumbai.
Corporal King from Omaha, Nebraska. So you've been acting for most of your life. How have your methods changed, and how do you think the industry has changed since your first role?
What was the second part of the question?
How have your methods changed, and how do you think the industry has changed since your first role?
When I first got into the business, I think I shot my first TV commercial in like 1991 or 2. And, I was like 10 or 11 years old. And everybody told me 2 things. The business is changing, and it's not how it used to be. And I was like, well, they've been saying that now for 30 years. So the idea that somehow anything is permanent is ridiculous. And if you're not adapting, you're going to fall behind. And so I think my methods have changed in that I've gotten a lot more comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think, as I was talking before about being scared or hoping to please somebody other than myself, is where you start to lose. When the experience is satisfying to yourself, when you're doing the best work that you can do, when you are relaxed, knowing that you've done all of the work already, and that it's about allowing the work to find itself organically on the day, the same way you guys rely on your training in a very tense situation. It's the same thing for an actor. Obviously, the stakes are different, but performance on demand, whether you're returning a serve in tennis, or you're parrying somebody's jab in MMA, or you're rolling in jiu-jitsu, you're on a target in Afghanistan, you have to allow your training to find itself on the day. And if you're trying to force a plan versus, there's some great expression about, you plan maybe you guys know, it's like you plan the plan, then you work a plan, you plan the work. I can't remember what it is, but it's that you got to be adaptable, and you got to be flexible to what's happening. The end goal, you don't exactly know how you're going to get there. And life is just so complicated that if you think you're going to create a plan and then execute it exactly to the T, the only thing that you're going to be perfectly executing is the fact that it's going to be flexible and you're going to be dynamic doing it. So I think that's where I've gotten to a better understanding about my acting, is that you got to try things that can possibly fail, because that's where the magic happens. You've got to be ultimately prepared, and you've got to be okay with the process revealing itself on the day.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, USO to Mumbai. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Jonathan, thanks for all of your either waving. Thank you so much for your service. We'll see you guys soon. All right, Jonathan, we actually have another question from you coming from Shonda Boyd. Shonda wants to know, for those of us seeing you for the first time on Debris, tell us a little bit about who you are as a person.
I'm a Bostonian. That is the cradle of the revolution, the city on a hill, the beacon of democracy, the Athens of America. And I grew up right in the People's Republic of Charlestown, which is where the Battle of Bunker Hill is. So I grew up steeped in American revolutionary and colonial battle and history. I grew up right across the street from the Bunker Hill Monument. And I am the happiest married guy on the planet. I've got two-year-old twins, and both of those acquisitions in the past now, a few years. But my wife and my kids have been the most clarifying parts of me. They really put the world into perspective and my understanding of faith into perspective. And I love acting, but I also have come to understand that to be the best actor I can be means being the most full human being. And that means, it means traveling, it means understanding different people's experiences and backgrounds. And it means, treasuring what really connects all of us, which is our families. We are all somebody's son or daughter. Whether those people are still with us or not, we're always going to be struggling with that relationship, and we're celebrating that relationship. But we're a lot closer than we think, and that understanding that in a variety of ways has made me a more full human being, and in turn, a much better actor.
Thank you for sharing that. I think we've had a really great glimpse into who you are as a person, and it's all good things, Jonathan. So thank you so much for sharing. Now, as you know, there are folks watching from all across the globe, and I know that you probably want to share a special message of support with them. So now's your chance.
I think I started out originally just talking about the diversity of my family, of religions and of colors and of countries, and the fact that my kids who have 4 different faiths in them from multiple continents will be able to recognize that they are American, and that to have that privilege of living in this country and of participating in one of the most dynamic and exceptional experiments in the course of human history is protected by the men and women who put on this uniform, and the sacrifices that they make every single day, the sacrifices that their families make, the husbands who are looking after families, the wives who are looking after families, the ones who are back home, the ones who are overseas. It is a team effort to be a part of the United States Armed Services. And we don't always know every day, in some of these more challenging situations, how important our work is. And by our work, I mean your work. But it is, there's people every day who wake up very grateful for what you do. I'm one of them. My family is one of them. And it is a privilege to be in this country, and we recognize that we have it because of you guys. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for being here with us today. I know that everyone was very excited to meet you and chat with you today. What a special treat for our MVP series for you to be a part of it. Now, everyone who is watching, please go to mvp.org for information on all of our exciting upcoming events. Jonathan, thank you so much again for being here with us today. What an honor to meet you, to chat with you. Our service members around the world truly appreciate you. Thank you so much.
God bless you guys. Thank you for doing what you do.